Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my little world of little letters. It's a world of letters. This has become an educational channel. Today, we're going to learn about the letter O. Before you can truly say the sound of a letter, you really need to sand it down. That's how you get to know it. D likes to dive out of my hands. Okay, I need to put sanded ones over here. What can we spell so far? Dob, date of birth, or bod. Ooh. I think I'm going to try not to overthink this part because I don't even know how sanded they need to be. Once the paint and grunge layer is on, may not make much difference how much I sanded them. But I do need to get all the little flecks and stuff off. as I'm doing this, I'm wondering if there was a better material to do this in. I could have rolled out some epoxy clay and done the same thing. Just roll it out into a sheet. And then I wouldn't have had to deal with these texture issues. What can we spell now? Almost got Frodo. Flawed Boulevard. Not the best place to do shopping. Does that give us anything? Let's see. Fraud. Let's see. Ford. Lawful bid. We're getting closer for sure. Soon something profound will be said. I feel like this sandpaper is supposed to be finer than this one. This is 150. Cannot even make out what the number is on this one. So all sorts of numbers in kanji, and that doesn't help me. Tried to learn Japanese in high school and failed. Failed hard. Back in the day, I thought that was the only way to make games, was you had to learn Japanese, move to Japan. I loved it when I lived in Japan, but I was a little kid. Don't know what I would feel about it now. All my memories are so magical, like festivals, parades. I remember, oh, we have a great picture of me as a, I don't know, maybe 4-year-old, and there's a parade where samurai were walking down the street, and one of them picked me up and put me on his shoulders. I get to like beat on a drum. That's also where I had my brief career as a male model when I was 4 or 5 years old. Clothing catalogs, loved having European descended kids modeling their clothes for some reason. That was back in the late 70s, early 80s, so I don't know if that's still the case. If there's any Japanese watching, let me know. Guess maybe I can go back and pick up that career again now that I'm unemployed. Josh Foreman, Japanese male model. You could make a reality show about it. I'd watch that. Ooh, now we got beta, or beta if you're British. So we've got a Horde beta, level Final Fantasy. You guys, let me know if there's something better I could spell with these letters. I was never good at Wheel of Fortune. Everyone's so quiet tonight. I mean, I understand. I am very tired. Therefore, everyone else in the world is probably very tired as well. Ooh, we've got 2 vowels coming up. This is going to give us a lot of options. Don't go away, heater. I need your help. Live Horde Beta, FinalFantasyE.com. Okay. Got our letters. Hot glue is, well, maybe super glue is a better way to go with this. Either way, after I stick it down, I kind of have to yank it off to readjust, don't I? I'll go with super glue since my hot glue gun is mad at me right now. Doesn't want to work well. Come on. Oh, turn it off. Change the focus on there. So I guess the good thing about hot glue is it'll stick without necessarily having to have a really flat surface for it. Try super glue first. Insta set, make it set not literally instantly, but a lot faster. Ideally, it would be like straight up and down. Okay. Another thing that would be nice would be to establish a level. Let's see, maybe something like this could work. Not that the sides of this are perfectly level to begin with, but you could at least at least have a line. It may not be the perfect line, but it's a line. Cardboard Art Man! Welcome. And I agree. Scola, Scola, Scola. How can I take this appropriately? That did no work. Oh. You know what? I don't need this here. I can use this magical device called a Sharpie. Oh man, I wish I didn't have to wake up, but I did have to wake up. I've got, you know, I'm probably way more busy talking to way more people than I have been in a long, long time. I gotta be up to go into places every day this week. And still not getting sleep because it's always like, well, what's happening tomorrow is gonna like impact the rest of my life probably, so I mean not necessarily, but could impact the rest of my life. ADHX says could not remember password for Twitch at work. So here we go with the new one to remember. Wow, I appreciate that dedication. I wish I could reciprocate that level of dedication, but sadly I still have a variety of tasks to do tonight, so I'm not going to be very long on the stream. Okay, so if I recall, we were spreading these out a little more. Let's try this. Cardboard Arman says, well, that's good to hear, man. Can't wait to play whatever game you work on next. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting prospects. Certainly a lot of games that are a lot more famous than Guild Wars 2 that I could be working on. I could actually, you know, be in mixed company with non-game developers and say, oh yeah, I work on this game called blah, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I know that game. Instead of the kind of blank stare. Alright, let's see if I'm going to spell it right this time. T. I think T is next. Oh man, now I don't have a bottom line for these letters. Listen, it's time we talk bottom line. I know a guy that works for Epic Games. They could really use your jumping puzzle making skills. Epic. Which... I feel like Epic has like multiple offices all over the place. It's funny the idea that anywhere that I go, I would obviously just do the same thing that I did in Guild Wars 2. Just become the jumping puzzle guy. It'd be like, you know, in M. Night Shyamalan made a twist movie, and then it was like, he's the guy that makes twist movies, and all his movies have to have a twist. Alright, that's probably a little too far, so I'm gonna now I'm going to go to the end. Dev. I don't think I have any hookups at Epic that I know of. I mean, like if I dig hard enough, I'm sure I know someone at probably every studio that exists. HX says it's been a while since Jill of the Jungle, but they've definitely done jumping before. Plot twist for The Last Airbender. It was terrible. Yeah, that's a pretty good twist, huh? Didn't see that one coming. You're like, look, it already exists in animated form. That's how you do it. They're like, nah. Let's do it this way instead. Mm-hmm. Hey, Lucifer, thanks for hosting my stream. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So I just went through and filled out as much as possible. My thumb is like.
Okay, well, don't do any more filling out.
Yeah, I did as much as I can. I'm not a left-handed person.
Right.
Because my thumb can't. My thumb and wrist is just.
Yeah.
So there is. So I marked with little post-it note color things, tabs, of all the things that need to be filled out, which is a ton, by the way. So this weekend.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, but then I have I put a different color ones that I have questions on that I'll ask on the phone call with other people.
Oh, right. So you can have the phone call, ask your questions without. Yeah. Okay.
And then, but again, we need to keep checking the mail, and I can call. I'll probably call the number that's on the page and just say like, hey, it's taking longer to fill out. Just wanted to give you guys heads up.
Yeah. Can't hurt.
But yeah, my hand is going numb.
It's a good time to stop.
And a lot of this stuff is like. It's like, can you do this? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. And it's like, well, right now I can't, because it's just everything's beginning.
Can you do a backflip?
Yeah, and I'm like, well...
One arm push-up?
Technically, and hopefully, all these things, this limitation is technically, theoretically, supposed to, like, be temporary. Because, you know, my right hand should heal someday, and then we get to have surgery on my left hand to try to... Because the first surgery I had wasn't enough. Now that we know, because no imaging would pick up, so
yeah.
So we have to go back. Anyways,
yeah, but you can't like fill out what you hope might happen.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Like right now, I'm like, yeah, I can't even go for a walk right now. Like you know, even if I can get the jacket on, they said I'm not allowed to get my hand that cold.
Wow.
Natalie said stop. Like, it's too, because the nerves are learning and trying to get blood flow. And if the Raynaud's and it's too cold, it's not okay. It's not like, oh, it's just Raynaud's, hopefully it'll not frostbite by the time I get home in 10 minutes. It's because it's literally like trying to regulate and already struggling. Hence why it's so small. It hurts so bad over my thumb. It feels like that incision is just being rubbed raw. Red raw.
Rub raw. Rub raw.
So yeah, I'm gonna stop, but I also have the stupid headache one. But I filled out.
Oh, that's a separate question.
I filled out a lot. I'm like, I hope they don't look at it and they're like, what's she doing? Like writing like a 5-year-old to have sympathy? You know, because it looks ridiculous, and I think it's. Mom.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go over it with pen anyway, so.
I did parts of it in pen. Because the guy, you can't have it pencil. It said in ink.
Right.
Well,
I can go over it.
Well, no, I know, but. Parts of it, I was like, well, the things I can do, while my writing is terrible, like, I mean, it looks like a 5-year-old, you know, it's still can tell.
Legible.
Yeah, like as long as it wasn't like a super in-depth answer. And then there was one I was like, oh wait, and then I remembered. So I'm like, have fun with that. I mean, hey. So it's like.
I'm sure they
out.
get worse.
Filled out. I put like by Heather Foreman and Josh Foreman as well.
Bliss first says hi, Josh's wife.
Oh, hello. I can get on
Heather.
camera.
Come say hi
Are
on
your
camera.
cousins on? Cousins on?
Oh no, is my cousin on?
I actually have makeup on, so I don't really care.
Oh wow, beautiful, glamorous Heather Foreman. Everyone, you need to see. There's there's you. There.
Where am I supposed to be?
Show them your awesome pink cast.
Oh yeah.
You put it in front of the camera.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know. The camera's
This
right
camera.
here.
Yeah, see.
Oh, now I get it. So.
There you go.
Here's my pink. Oh, it's very.
It's too bright. It's blown out. There we go. Now you can see the pink.
Yep. This keeps my thumb joint from
falling out.
shifting, but they took out. I don't know. You can't really see like a bunch of incisions.
Frankenstein scars.
There. It's weird because it's delayed. I have one over my thumb here and here that kind of popped open today. Whoops. I don't know if that's gross. You can't even see anything on this.
Yeah,
And hairy arms.
they don't look bad.
Well, you can't see anything on camera. Like.
Oh. Yeah, they look excellent on camera. No, it's just because the white balance is up kind of high. So.
But look how delayed it is.
Out.
That's really weird.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Bruh.
Yeah, how many surgical scars do you have now? Countless. If you count all 14 surgeries that you've had.
I was like, on this one, I have like 6, I think, of...
Yeah, just on
1,
this
2, 3, 4, 5... Wait, 6. I forget about this one. But then, technically, he usually does this surgery with the one that goes in the upper arm. You can see me... Wait, is that one on camera too? Do you have 2 camera angles?
Yeah, there's a camera here. That's the face cam. And that's the little box down here.
Oh, well, he does nerve releases up here too, but they found surprises in my wrist. My wrist was destroyed.
Twist surprises. Like a
Yeah.
Shyamalan movie.
Yeah.
We were just talking about those.
Which we need to watch. Those.
Glass. I haven't seen Glass yet. Alright. Time to glue letters down. You making it?
Jeez, what is wrong with me?
You can't walk straight. That's
No,
what's
but
wrong.
I'm kind of wondering, like, this is really bad. I feel like I've never, like, walked before. I've been really, like, worse today.
You're both writing and walking like a toddler.
I think but everything's twisted, things hurt, and I think I'm trying to compensate.
Yeah. I'll give you some
But not actually compensate.
massage tonight. Hopefully rub some of those problems away.
I don't think my body wants to be touched, though.
Oh. Or not.
I know. It's like a thing that sometimes the muscles are so pissed.
Yeah.
That's the thing about my disease. You don't always get no touching.
No touching. No touching.
They get angry. So you're gonna be out here for like probably
What time is it?
8:46.
Probably 15-20 minutes I'm shooting for. I'd like to get this thing nailed down before I'm done.
May as well. You already got it mostly set, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gluing them, or?
Gluing them for now and then cementing them in place.
I was gonna say, are they accidentally gonna be broken? If somebody bumps it, can they be bent? Or broken off?
Well, they're very strong, and I'm going to be building up some clay behind them to hold them in place.
But like the top part, you know, like.
Yeah.
The L.
Yeah, it's a risk I'm willing to take for the aesthetic. I think it's going to look really cool once they're gold and like coming off the top like that.
Yeah. If you cement it just on the very back too.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be.
Hey, Brimstar. You like that look?
I told Shane, I was like, man, Dad's busier.
I know, I was just
Without
talking
a
about
job.
that. I've been busier
I'm like,
these
I've barely
past...
even seen him. Shane's like,
3
can you
days.
please watch Walking Dead? And I was like, not tonight. I was like, I can't even fill out papers.
Chad Markham, thanks for the subscription. Appreciate it.
Jeez, I can't believe how busy you've been.
It's been crazy. Well, it's such a random confluence of stuff that...
I mean, it's just so stressful that I just have that suddenly taken away.
Yeah.
I guess and it also feels busier just because you're technically home.
That's true.
But you're
technically,
doing
but
all
running
the
around all the time or
yeah.
out here.
Like super busy.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like you just be at work busy, but it's not like
it's invisible busy to you.
I'm so like if we ever did have to move.
Mm-hmm.
At least in California, I know I'm not gonna freeze.
That's true. I don't know, sometimes it gets down to like 60.
We grew up there. I remember our winter coats were 60. Winter coats. Ridiculous. I mean, just absolutely. So freezing! Oh my gosh, it's like 68 degrees. Josie probably wants to live in California.
She wants to do space engineering stuff.
Yeah, but she really wants to live in, like, even if it meant like SpaceX or something, I don't know. But she really wants to work for NASA technically.
Mm.
Oh yeah, let me heat up food. They're like, oh, preparing meals. I'm like, well, if it's cutting, lifting, pouring.
It's a lot of assistance.
I'm like, well, I can close the microwave door and usually push the numbers, except this one's even harder on my fingers.
You're very good at closing the microwave door.
Huh?
You're well, I wouldn't say very good. You're pretty good at closing the microwave door.
But yeah. But the problem is all my left hand is already in like screaming mode nonstop.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Uman says, can you put the of lower in order to make it separate without wasting space? I could, but since this is supposed to be like a website URL, I kind of want it to kind of all flow together.
That's a good idea, and then, oh yeah.
And so there's going to be this little lion head down here, and then these little swirls are going to kind of continue up and around, you know, around the letters, so. Oh yeah, the transistor, what did they just make? They just released Hades in beta. That looks really pretty. That would be a cool studio to work for, I'm sure. I have no idea where they are. But I think they keep it pretty small. I want to say there was a no-clip documentary on them just recently. Are they in San Francisco, maybe? That's just ridiculously expensive to live there. Yep, the acronym is bold. So the beginning of each of the BOLD, I'm gonna do like a subtle, like green lacquer that's mostly cracked off. That's what I have on my business card, which might be maybe too subtle. Let's see if you can see it. Right. But I like it being subtle. I like the irony of bold being subtle. Love irony. What I don't love is fart jokes, and that is why I changed the name of my studio. It was, I don't know, can you see it over there? No, you can. See over, right past all of my trash. No, that's the new one. Rotate up, you guys. Just rotate up. Do it. Ah, I'm not used to the controls from this angle. You'll have to take my word for it. My studio name was Breath of Life Art Studio, but then a friend of mine pointed out like a couple of years ago, you know when you say that out loud quickly, it sounds like Breath of Life Fart Studio. It's like, ding dong it, ding dang dong it. That's what I said. And then, yeah, I did an extensive amount of searching, both like for existing company names that I could use. I mean, sorry, ones that don't exist already so that I could use them, and that also evoked what I was doing. And I had this whole list of like ideal things, and development definitely is not, it doesn't hit all of the ideals, because the word development just by itself can mean like child development. It could mean like developing in puberty. It could mean housing development, right? There's lots of kinds of development. But it's also, you know, entertainment development, movie development, story development, game development. But what sold me on it was, A, it's not taken, because Breath of Life, everything else in the world is taken. Breath of Life Studio, Breath of Life Productions, Breath of Life, all the ones that you would think of to go to first, all taken. Development was not, and the fact that it says bold is awesome because it's in line with my kind of vision statement. All right, thanks for the hot tip, my hit. Not looking. Athanar, yeah, I've talked to a couple of my friends at Valve, for sure. Very mixed, very mixed reviews of what it's like to work there. Your mileage may vary, is what it sounds like. Now I feel like, do you guys feel like Breath is spread out and it like starts to crowd at the end? Because I feel that way. Valve doesn't make games anymore. I mean, they kind of do. Sometimes. They don't make big AAA story-driven games anymore, that's for sure. That's right, we don't talk about Artifact. No, one of my friends was one of the kind of lead designers on that. He's super sad about how that turned out, obviously. Kerning gets tighter at the end, yeah. So I'm gonna adjust said kerning. Sure is easier in Photoshop, let me tell you. Which I guess I could do is like take a picture of it, take it into Photoshop, print it out at live, you know, make the adjustments, print it out at live size, and put it behind it. Yeah, I thought I remembered the O definitely being, because it's really odd if the O is like close to the center but not at the center. It just feels awkward. So making sure that it's well short of center is a good thing. It's like when you're composition in general, like in photography or painting or whatever, if you have a character that's like almost in the center but not quite, it's just really annoying. You got to move them so they're at the 3/4 line or the 1/3 line or the middle, but not like almost middle. Wow, super glue really clings to that, like it ripped off part of it. Just Control A and nudge it. Yeah. I'm literally chiseling these things in stone. That's Photoshop 0.001. The undo is to just you just off yourself and come back in the next reincarnation to do it different later. Oh man, Brimstone, I wish it was. Hey, Fizz Matrix, thanks for the host. I feel like I'm in a campy B movie, sci-fi monster movie. Is that what the host is? I think so. Oh, was that the... No. Or was it? Was it the one, the Korean monster movie? That one was actually pretty cool. First day of vacation. Man, I have not been this exhausted in a long time. And you know, it's like I definitely cannot afford to pass up any opportunity to talk to anyone about potential job prospects, and I'm doing like a freelance gig for this other company that I was doing before the layoff, and like a big day of work is coming up on that, so like, and I have to get my video out by the 1st, which I need to get to editing on that ASAP. Should I just get out the Dremel tool? Probably should. Better part of Valor. Hey, Isavander! Yeah, like a jumping puzzle strategy. Die and try again. The host was a Korean monster movie? Question. I think it was, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm definitely burning the candlestick at like 16 different ends right now, so I'm running on fumes. Okay, where's my little cutty device? Here we go. Mr. Dremel. Dremels, I believe you need to plug them in for them to work unless they're battery powered. This one is not. Let's see if that plug is plugged in. Okay, cover your ears, my lovelies. No, wait. This is not the bit that I want. This is not the bit you're looking for. I am working on this display thing for the convention I've got on Saturday. There's going to be a tablet running a video of my YouTube tutorials in there. And then this is going to be sitting in front of my Colossus. So when people take pictures of my Colossus, they'll have my website in their pictures. That's my evil scheme. Okay, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to mute myself while I do this sign. Did that work? Did I actually mute the right mic? Oh, and I was even off camera for most of it. Congrats. Congrats to the viewers. Trust me, I cut that part. I cut it real good. Yeah, sometimes I'm not so good at the muting of the mic at the right time or muting the proper mic channel. I am still very much a noob streamer. I really want to get that little, there's like a little box with just big buttons on it that you could hook to your computer for streaming, and you can just like switch cameras and switch like what's on the screen. But yeah, I don't have hundreds of dollars to spend on that right now. You were looking at the Stream Deck today? Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, there's two different sizes. I think the mini has like 6 buttons on it, is that right? And then the bigger one has 12 or 8 or 10 or something. Some integer that is higher than 6. That's my guess. Yeah, still want it to be a little lower. Okay, still definitely awkward spacing. I mean, here's the thing, like, you can't just literally measure between each letter, because to do kerning right, places where like the A and the T here, they need to be closer together, otherwise there's a big awkward triangle, you know, and basically A's and V's in general just make kerning super obnoxious, and curvy letters like O's and D's. This material is expanded PVC sheet. I've never used it before, I just bought a sheet of it recently to test it out. I don't know if this is the best application for it or not. So it's probably best to scoot the of over a little bit, which gets it back into that danger zone of being a little too close to the middle for my comfort. Poor O has just been abused. It's been put down and ripped out like 4 times now. So, what was that? The O sure is smaller than all the other capital letters, isn't it? Which, when I was laying it out on paper, I felt was good, and now I'm not so sure. Caprice, I got better sleep, but still not enough. Not enough. I had to get up early this morning. Well, by early I mean like 9 o'clock, but you know, and you fall asleep at 3 or 4, feels early. Yeah, I am very worn out. I just came from a big employment open house mixer type thing, so I had to be, you know, on and talking to lots of people and hugging lots of necks of former coworkers and putting my best foot forward with recruiters, etc., which I'm at least half introvert, and so it does take a lot out of me, and I was already pretty wiped out to begin with, so. Alright, well, what I'm thinking, this is just a general thing that I've noticed. Caprice was saying, I was thinking one perk of you being laid off is you might make a few more of these rested, waking up experiences than the handful you currently have. Maybe. I mean, I've had staycations where, like, 2 weeks long, and it's still super rare that I wake up feeling good, so don't know what it is. I mean, I think it's just a chemical imbalance thing that some people have. Never feeling good when you wake up. Okay, kerning. When it comes to logo work, I always find if I do something and I come back the next day, or in the case like when I was making these business cards, I was posting iterations of them on Facebook and Twitter, just getting people's feedback, and inevitably, you know, I would look at it in Photoshop, I'd say, okay, great, perfect, ship it. Well, not ship it, but like, let's show the next iteration. The moment I post it, I see it in that context, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious I need to do this other thing. So that was, that leads me to the conclusion that, before I set this in stone, literally, by putting epoxy paste all over it, I need to just come back to it tomorrow. Sleep on it, as it were. Let's get the little .com in place, though. AJ, you never feel good when you first wake up, but then I make coffee. Yeah, it takes me a good probably hour before I'm like positive about anything in life and able to speak or articulate or understand anything. Well, I could do video games. This morning I actually for the first time ever beat Dead Cells on hard mode. So now I'm on double hard mode. Let's see if I can even beat the first level on double hard mode. It looks like you have 0 health refills through the entire game. I can't remember what the other things were, but it was like, that's enough. That's enough to make it way harder than it really ever would need to be. For me, personally. I'm sure there are people who breeze through it in that mode. Capri says, you were doing good at feeling rested when you were on that weird, wacky schedule. Yeah, I definitely got closer to it, for sure. When I was able to just sleep as long as I wanted, whenever I wanted. To a certain degree. I mean, I still tried to bend my schedule enough that, you know, I would see Heather from time to time. That's kind of important. Pro tip, if you're in a serious romantic relationship with someone, seeing them is important. Spending time with them. I don't know if that's like a generally well-known thing. Maybe I should write a book about it. People might like that little insight. Wonder what your face would look like if you literally slept. Awful. Yeah, I'll see how double hard mode is tomorrow. We'll see. Arthur Murr says, I tend to find it depends on how deep a sleep I wake up from. The deeper, the worse I feel. Huh. Okay, so last thing I want to do before I call it is just do the next coat on my boy. Which would be a slightly darker greenish blue. Yeah, this is definitely, this is like after he's been through the Dridian battle where he gets like 1,000 stings all over him, and it takes some weeks for his liver to recover. Let's see what happens if I go a little overboard with this and just use a big old brush. Hey, Kip the Traveler, how you doing? I think I want this bluer than that. I feel like actually just this blue almost by itself is what I want. It out too much. Spoiler alert for this stream. Spoiler alert, Beaumark fights a bunch of monsters at some point in his adventure and gets lots of little stings. That's the sort of thing you'd see in a movie preview. I don't feel bad about people knowing that. Hey, my moinks! How you doing? How's my boy, my moinks? Or oinks. I know that's what you prefer to be called, right? I am doing ridiculous. That's how I'm doing. On the verge of collapse and just driving myself. Driving. I got so many, like, top priority things I have to be doing right now. So yeah, I like how this is, like, you're still seeing that interesting white patina under there. I mean, I'm still going to be doing several more coats, but it's becoming more subtle. And once the dark brown bronze goes over it, I'm hoping that there'll still be a little bit of it's carried over. And it's also good if there's some areas where it's like still extreme. Patina is such a an irregular effect. Don't want it to be the same all over. Newman says, I personally find that music helps. Currently hooked on the HTTYD3 score. Third date is awesome. Oh man, I do not know what those letters stand for. I'm sure once you say, I'll be like, oh yeah, duh. Oh, How to Train Your Dragon 3. I gotta see that. I gotta catch up on that. Those movies are pretty delightful. I've not seen them in years. Oh, you were just joshing someone? Oh, you were joshing me about spoilers. Okay, I'm following. I'm good at following things. I'm a follower. Yeah, Ubin, not everyone is hip to your lingo, what all the cool kids are saying. You gotta remember, I am very old. I like this brush. It makes such a silly flippity floppity sound when you use it. It's like Slappy Fish. Well, now you know, Kit the Traveler. Now you know how to be hip to the jive of what all the cool kids are saying. You know what I'm saying? Word up, home slice. That's what I say to the fellow kids. You know what's funny is it hit me way harder. Turning 30 was way harder psychologically for me than turning 40. By the time I got to 40, I think I was aware of like the value of my experience and whatever small amount of wisdom I learned from it. Crimalville, thanks for following. And so to me, it's like the trade-off of getting older is totes worth it, as the kids say. This is another place where it's just kind of good to leave it and come back to it and think about what I want to do with it more, if anything. Bismatix says, I don't even remember hitting the 30-year barrier. I just hit it one day and was like, oh, okay then. It's probably because, like, I was older than the social group I was primarily hanging around with by like 6 or 7 years, and so them still being in their mid to young 20s while I was like 30. That's like when you're in your 20s, the 30s seem like, okay, that's old, that's the old people age, and so it can be kind of alienating in that sense. Alright, so now that I got the brown, I think I'm gonna do my light white wash thingy. Kit, you got younger friends too? Yeah. What blew my mind more was going, wait, where did those 10 years go? Yeah. Well, it's funny, like, all the popular media that was around when I, like, was in my low and mid 20s, all of that still feels, like, kind of current to me. So, like, The Matrix seems like a relatively recent movie to me. Time does seem to move faster after your 20s, at least for me. Yeah, that's the consensus. The older you get, the more it just flies away. Pismatic says, was looking back on a few movies recently, then went, well, that came out a hell of a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, just don't look at the dates, you'll be fine. Although then you'll see, like, actors that clearly look 20 or 30 years younger than they are now. You're like, oh man. They ruin it. That's why, when I start making my Game of Thrones style series of Tales from Talifar, it's 100% CG. There are going to be no human faces in there. Which is why I can't start making it until they've solved the Uncanny Valley. Because I want it to be... I want you to not be able to tell at all that it's CG. It's just going to be the coolest looking thing. Old enough to be the parent of your coworkers. Yeah, someone started at ArenaNet a while ago and said that they did their college, some college project based on a game I had made or something, and that they played when they were a kid, is the way they put it. Lucifer says, it makes sense. Your perception of time changes because you have more experience to pull from. Capri says, I'm not doing well with aging. Glad some of you are. So I think a lot of my comfort with aging comes from the fact that a lot of the big life questions that a lot of people have for me are answered. Like, I found the love of my life. I got my career direction that I want to go. I know what I'm good at and how to do it. And it's just a matter of finding the proper, receptacle for those skills and passions. So I think feeling bad about aging, a lot of it is tied into, like, just the unknown of, like, will I find those things and how. You like this color, Caprice? Lucifer hates aging, can't stop it though. Yeah. I mean, there are people out there now who are claiming that with medical technology and computer, virtual reality, blah, 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 people who are alive today may be able to escape death by uploading to computers or whatever. So, it's always a chance. It'll bring up some really interesting philosophical conundrums. Star says, I always relate now with how that one meme of Steam Buscemi saying, how do you do, fellow kids? Yep. I feel like that every day walking down the hall at work. Oh, I did feel that one. MMO Inc. says, I am ready for my new robot body. Yeah, I think most of us are. PHX says, the 30s have become a lot better after winding up in the right career finally. Yep, that has a huge part of that. Lucifer says, I have a lot of hope for the end of aging, although that brings forth a whole new host of overpopulation issues. Yeah, well, I think people would probably stop reproducing pretty quickly after that, assuming it's widely available. And I mean, it could also dramatically decrease the resources necessary to keep a person alive in this world. Like, if you're not driving your car around and, like, eating a ton of food and stuff, you're just, like, hanging out in a tank or something, and but your brain is in a vivid, active, wonderful world that I've built for you. Yeah, we could probably support a lot more people. Adam Jensen is where it's at. What or who is Adam Jensen? Capri says, those things you said about aging are right on and make total sense, Josh. That it's the wisdom speaking. You get older, you can get wiser. And then you can say things that make total sense to people. But then, you know, it's interspersed with lots of nonsense as well, so. That's the important part. Won't get to your head if you intersperse your wisdom with nonsense. Oh, Knight says, I think getting old is about spacing out your experience and making sure that you take some time out to do something different. Yeah, that's good. Lucifer says, I mean, you'd think that, but not so sure. People who want kids really want them. Yeah. I loved your video rants about people who are just super obnoxious and judgmental about people who choose not to have kids, and like the fact that it actually causes institutional hardship for those who want to choose otherwise. It's maddening. People get so caught up that their own proclivities must be the correct moral thing for everyone. That is the annoy. Protagonist of the new Deus Ex game. Oh, right. For uploading, become the new, into a new consciousness. I think it'll drive expansion and colonizing other planets. Yeah, that'd be cool. Alita says, I want to try hang gliding even if I have to wait till I'm 90 for the chance. Or do it in VR. People could start with ocean floor first. There's plenty of space on Earth still. Yeah, I love speculative futurism. The Lefram said, surely floating cities would be easier on the seafloor than the seafloor. Depends on the technologies and material and impact on the environment, and there's all sorts of things to take into consideration there. Whisper says, mostly women and reproductive agency choices, but yeah. Yep, those are especially a target of that sort of thing and thinking. Yeah, I don't know, like BioShock, 1984, what's the one that's like the opposite of 1984, where everyone amuses themselves to death with drugs and they go to the feelies instead of the movies? Like all of those stark, terrifying visions of the future, and like Black Mirror and stuff. I have very mixed feelings about those things. Because it's just like, it's such low-hanging fruit to scare people about things that are new and different. I don't know if that's healthy. It's healthy to have a balance, to not just be like, yes, everything new should automatically be done. But, yeah, that just like automatic fear response to the way humanity is obviously on the track to changing towards. I guess if you see them just as warnings of what could go terribly wrong, but most people don't. Most people just interpret it as, or like, it embeds in their psyche as New things, scary, bad, make people bad. Yeah, exoplanet study is interesting. It's like, there's so many extrapolations they need to make for their estimations about those things, but the science behind it's really fascinating. It says, we also played Alien. We know where this is going. Yes. Grimstar says, once we harness the Higgs boson, we'll be unstoppable. Maybe. Lucifer says, I'm very excited about exoplanetary exploration. It's our future as a species, I think. Grimstar says, or dead. Yeah, or we just implode the entire universe. Roller Knight says, I'm sure I heard somewhere that you could hit the entire human race back to, fit the entire race back to back in a place the size of Florida, so I think it's more we really need to restructure how we build cities. That's, yeah, I've heard that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously people can't live packed together like that. But yeah, mostly we need to stop having so many goldarn kids. We don't need to do that anymore. I mean, if technology collapses, you know, we go back to the Stone Age or post-apocalypse, and we're gonna have to start having babies again. But in the meantime, yeah, we don't need so many babies. Yeah, micro black holes, man, could be scary. Yes, we are in the B universe. The worst timeline. The Flat Room says, space for the people isn't the problem as much as space for the food. Yeah. Alright, I think I'm gonna let it kind of dry like this, come back to it and see how that's striking me. Oh, missed a spot. Okay, now I need to go do like 5 or 6 more hours of work on another thing so I could get my video posted on the 1st. And other important matters of which I cannot speak. But trust me, they all revolve around saving the world. Robin Williams' death was your first hint. We're in the wrong timeline. Oh, this should go in there. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. I doubt I'm gonna stream tomorrow, but it's always a possibility. I'm not done with this. I need to be done by Saturday. I have to be working my freelance gig all day tomorrow. And then Friday, oh man, actually I have like a day and a half because Friday I'm gonna need to like pack up the car at, I don't know, 6 p.m. since I have to be at the convention at 6 in the morning. Oh my god, you guys. So much stuff. This is hard, but hopefully this is just a particularly difficult period. Hey, Rowan Knight, thank you for following. Appreciate that. The con is called Nerd Fair with an E at the end. It's brand new. It's itty bitty up in Linwood, the Linwood Convention Center, just a bit north of Seattle. So I'll see you guys next time. If not tomorrow, then most certainly Friday at some point. Not Saturday, but then most likely Sunday. You know how it is. It'll happen when it happens. Skogzigilla, thanks. Bye, Vilfram. Bye, Life Synthesizer. Thank you again for all your support. on the last stream. And everyone, don't forget to check out Lucifer's Twitch. She does awesome book readings. Bye!